Alright, y'all. I hadn't done an episode of Beyond the Count, Life on the Compound in a while. So, just a quick recap, and I'm doing something a whole lot different than I normally do today. Y'all can't tell I'm driving a truck, and hands-free, I'm not holding the phone. I've got it sitting up on a hands-free mount, so you ain't got to worry about that. I'm safe out here. And that's kind of what this episode's about, is officer safety. So obviously, by me driving this semi, obviously I ain't working in a prison no more. Just a quick recap on why. May of 2024, last year, I moved up to Ohio and moved up there to help my sister out. When I moved up there, I went and took a job with the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Corrections. I started June 10th of 2024. I quit September 5th of 2024, and this is why. I went up there, I did about, 2 weeks of their little onboarding at Toledo Correctional Institution. They got really good instructors. Hats off to Officer Hardesty and Officer Jones. They run a pretty good training program, I think. I would put what they're trying to do on par with a lot of the way I used to teach in Florida when I would train new officers. Actually, I'll go ahead and say they probably exceeded anything I was able to do. 100%. So, I got done with a little 2 weeks of onboarding, went through 4 weeks of the academy, at the Corrections Training Academy in Orient, Ohio, down by Columbus. It's a residential academy. It's not like we had in Florida, where we have several corrections academies in the state. Everybody goes to one place in Ohio. And while I was down there, I will say that the training at the academy was mediocre at best. It's definitely no CO left behind. That's about the best way I could put it. And they don't teach you how to be no convict guard down there. Those of y'all that know what I mean by a convict guard understand what I mean by it. Those of y'all that don't know what a convict guard is, you're probably not one. There's a difference between a correctional officer and a convict guard. More on that later. But while I was there, I found out in Ohio, they don't like you calling a convict a convict. They don't like you calling them an inmate. They want you to call them an IP, which is an acronym for incarcerated person. And they are pretty serious about it. Now, I'll be honest with y'all, I ain't calling no damn body that's locked up an IP. I'm not calling them a client. I'm not calling them a resident. I'm not calling them a incarcerated person. I'm not calling them a justice-involved person, as I've heard other states call them that. No. If you're in prison, you are a convicted felon. That's what convict means. You have been convicted of a felony, either by you pleading nolo contendere, you pleading guilty, or you being found guilty by a jury of your peers or by a judge. Either way, you are a convict. You are a convicted felon. Can we all agree on this? If we can't agree to it, I got sad news for you, okay? Not trying to get political by any means, because I just don't want to, but the snowflake bullshit in corrections has got to go. There's a reason I'm not in corrections anymore. I ain't churching it up. They fucked up, they know they fucked up, that's why they're locked up. You fuck up, you get locked up. That's the way I feel. They're not in prison to be punished. Being in prison is their punishment. I'm not for brutality. I'm 100% against brutality. However, common sense dictates that they're in there for a reason. Doesn't matter why. I don't care. I don't look these guys up. None of my business why they're there. As a correctional officer, our job is care, custody, and control of the convict. Period. They follow the rules, they don't have any problems. They break the rules, they get consequences. Lose privileges, get taken to confinement, whatever. There's consequences. Except in the state of Ohio. At least that's what they tried. This is going to segue into why I quit. On August 14, 2024, I completed my last day of what they call OJT. That's on-the-job training. I had to make up a day because after we come back from the academy, I was not feeling well and took a day off. So I had to make up that day. So I come in at 5:30 in the morning. If y'all ever worked with me, you know I show up early to the compound. When I was at Everglades CI, I lived on the compound and I still showed up early. Damn, this is a bumpy ass road. Do better, Alabama. Jesus. Man, they do not know how to pave a road up here. Anyway, sorry, I got distracted. Let's see if I can switch lanes better over here. Not really. Alright, so August 14th, I'm in there and I'm doing my 8 hours in the morning OJT, show up at 5. It's supposed to be, or show up at 5:30. It's supposed to be over by 2. Well, they asked me, they said, hey man, you want to work some overtime? Absolutely. I'm sorry, but Toledo, Ohio is a boring ass place. There ain't shit to do. I don't know nobody up there. And as it turns out, I found a pickup truck that I wanted to buy. I found an old square body Chevy that I wanted to buy. Matter of fact, me and the training officer, Officer Jones, actually had a laugh about it because he said most COs go out, they get the job, and they go buy a new pickup truck. Until I looked at him, I said, yeah, I'm buying a new 30-year-old pickup truck. And that's what I was looking at. It was a mid-90s Chevrolet Silverado. Anyway, so I complete my 8 hours of OJT and they cut me loose on the compound on my own. Now, this is where I have one of the many problems I have with OCSCA, the union up there in Ohio, that cares more about the privileges of seniority versus officer safety. And I'm going to call it as I see it. Some of y'all just clicked off. Some of y'all are watching won't know what I'm going to say next. But OCSCA is bullshit. They have what's called picket post. And it's where they let senior officers pick whatever post they want, and they leave the lower in seniority. What you basically at the bottom of the barrel, you get stuck with what's left. Part of me agrees with it. Part of me says, you know what? Yeah, the old guys probably deserved it. But they all go for the cupcake post. They go for the post where they don't have problems. They coast by, do their 8, and hit the gate. Your new guys get put with the assholes. There's no way around it. They're assholes. And that's what happened to me. Me and a officer that was as green as the trees over there you looking at. I mean, he was real green. In fact, I heard he's not there anymore. They put me and him in a CM wing. Now, I'm no stranger to dealing with CMs. In Ohio, they call them 4Bs. In Florida, we call them CMs. CMs, close management. These are the ones that have violated the rules of the institution in such a way to where they have very restrictive privileges. They're not in confinement, but it's restrictive housing, very restrictive. Again, I'm no stranger to dealing with it. I deal with confinement. I've dealt with CMs. I've dealt with confinement. It makes no difference to me. So, unfortunately, the officer that they paired me with did not know how to deal with it. This is how my day started on that shift anyway. I completed my 8.5 OJT. Got told where I was going to be assigned, went up there. There was another officer that was up there, and we do our first dorm check. I hit the bottom, he hits the top tier. While he's on that top tier, he sees a convict having a medical emergency. What it was is this convict was smoking bug spray. Up there they call it tune. As in it will tune you up. Now I like my cigarettes. I ain't never done no drugs, but I don't know anybody until I got up there. I didn't really see anybody dumb enough to smoke dried bug spray on paper. And that's what they do. They'll go behind pest control when they spray down to the bottom of the like the baseboards and shit. Not really baseboards because it's concrete building, but y'all get the idea. They'll go down there and they'll soak up the bug spray on paper, let it dry, and then they'll sell it, and they call it tune. They'll pass it around. So I made the rule after dealing with that shit. I said nothing will be passed between cells. This other officer that they put there, who's had about 5 weeks of corrections, in his life was overly permissive. He wanted to make friends. If y'all know me, old Sergeant Allen here don't want to make no friends. Those of y'all watching from Florida know what I mean, that's ever worked with me. Well, they go ahead and they're steadily trying to pass shit, and I'm stopping it at every turn. I'm getting threats. I'm gonna fuck you up. I'm gonna throw shit on you. I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna get you up out of here. I'm gonna retire you. I'm gonna stab you. You know, I'm getting threats all day long, and every one of them I'm writing up. You threaten me, your ass is getting a DR. That's all there is to it. Up there they call a DR what we would call a DR in Florida, a disciplinary report, or an RVR, a rules violation report in Mississippi. Up there they call it a ticket, and it has about the same effect as a parking ticket. Well, it's getting on. I've been in there about 4 hours, and it's getting on to chow time. So I start feeding chow. I get about 4 cells down now. Policy up there states contact and cover. That means you got an officer cell front and one behind, just in case something goes on. They can deal with it. Well, this guy's a little bit behind me. I think he was dealing with somebody in another cell. And I popped the flap, and the guy's food, I get sprayed. Body camera footage is on this channel. I get what we call the Rayford cocktail, and I'm pissed. It's the first time I'd ever gotten a Rayford cocktail. So, I didn't do anything. I wanted to roll the door and beat that son of a bitch's ass. I'm not gonna lie to you. Anybody would. That'd be our first reaction. We're men. We want to roll that door and knock the shit out of him. But body cameras, cameras above, witnesses, it's not going to work out too well for me, so I do the smart thing. I go down to the captain's office. They give me a change of uniforms, and they tell me to go to medical and go take a shower. I told the captain I want to press outside charges on that convict. Well, in order to do that, you got to talk to the Ohio Highway Patrol investigator. You got to talk to the institutional investigator first. So the next day I was out sick because that night I went to the ER and got post-exposure precautions because, you know, come in contact with bodily fluid. I'm not taking a chance. That little $22, $23 an hour they're paying up there ain't worth my health. Not gonna fucking happen. So the next day my stomach is doing flips. If you ever taken a cocktail, you'll know what I mean. And antibiotics will have you doing things you didn't want to do. You didn't know were possible on a toilet. Not trying to be nasty, I'm just being honest. The following day, I show up early to go talk to the investigator. I want to catch him in his office. Like I want to press outside charges. Well, he tells me that the Lucas County prosecutor will not prosecute a convict if they got 5 years or more left on their sentence. This is in August of 24. The guy's got a release date of December of 2030. So we ain't far off from that 5 years. I told him, bullshit. Do your job, do paperwork on it. Well, you got to talk to the highway patrol investigator. Okay, cool. I'll talk to him. So I go talk to. I'm like, when? A couple weeks later, I run into him. Hey, man, when am I going to talk to Ohio Highway Patrol? I don't know. You got a phone number for him? Give me his number. I'll email it to your state email. Well, that email never happened. It never came. So I called the Highway Patrol. And I spoke to the investigator, Trooper Durthick, out of Findlay, Ohio. And this lazy son of a bitch told me the same thing. And I told him, I said, let me tell you something. You're going to do your job. And if the Lucas County prosecutor don't want to prosecute it, I'll fry my fish with him. And he goes, well, don't rock the boat. Don't go burning bridges. I said, let me tell you something. First off, I'm from South Mississippi. I don't get seasick. Second off, I'll burn every bridge except the ones on 75 going south, and I'll napalm them bastards behind me. I don't care. I'm on the warpath now. This convict ain't getting off scot-free. I go down to the Lucas County prosecutor and was told in no uncertain terms that that is not their policy. I said, okay. Meanwhile, they're still not prosecuting. My birthday's September 4th. And when I turned 40, I made a decision, because I was off my birthday, I made a decision that I ain't dealing with this shit. So I quit. Turned in my uniforms. And then I filed suit against the state of Ohio in the Ohio Court of Appeal, or Ohio Court of Claims, not Court of Appeals, Court of Claims. Typed it up, filed it. It got dismissed in January. December, a CO was killed in Ohio by a convict. Late January, I went on the news up there and told my story, which is on this page. Well, long about April, I called the prosecutor again. I'm like, hey, what are we doing about this? Oh, it's being prosecuted. Now, this week, today's Sunday, this week, on Wednesday, the 29th, I'm going to be in Toledo at the courthouse watching this inmate get sentenced. They actually prosecuted him, and he pled guilty. A couple weeks ago, the prosecutor called me up and wanted me to be cool with giving him 9 months if he pled guilty. I said, absolutely not. Keep in mind, the state of Florida is handing out 15 years for this shit. They charged him with a 5th-degree felony, which I don't even know existed. Which, in Mississippi, you can get more time on a misdemeanor than you can on this particular classification of felony in Ohio. The maximum is a year on a 5th-degree felony. They didn't charge him with the third-degree felony of assault. They charged him with harassment of a correctional officer. I don't know how throwing shit on somebody is harassment. Seems to me that that would actually be aggravated battery. But whatever. They don't have battery in Ohio, they call it assault. So because of Marsy's law, I'm going to be in court on Wednesday at his sentencing hearing. And I've got my victim impact statement typed up. I'm not going to read it here, but I will read it after I'm done. So that's the update on the case. Because they prosecuted, which is what I wanted them to do, I dropped my suit against Ohio. I was going to take it to federal court, but since they're at least making a slap-ass effort, I went ahead and dropped it. Y'all that work up in Ohio, I'm going to tell y'all something. I have been told by a few people up there that I got more done in just a few weeks than the goddamn OCSCA union was able to get done in years. And I'm trying to figure out why it took a pissed off redneck from Mississippi to go up there, work for not even 3 months, and get this done, and why y'all couldn't have done it on your own. The moral of the story is, don't be afraid to step up. And y'all see something wrong, y'all see y'all are getting screwed over, stand up for yourself. Don't let them get away with that shit. I'm not letting them get away with it, neither should you. We should all strive to hold them people accountable. Convicts and the administration. And I also, for this 5th degree felony bullshit, blame the woke Ohio State Legislature. I blame Annette Chambers Smith, the director of the Department of Rehabilitation and Corrections, for not backing her staff. I blame the governor, and I am so glad I live in the South. That's the way I feel. Y'all have a good one. Be safe. Keep in mind, we never walk alone.